The next one, you can acknowledge. Someone can send you something to say, it's important that you look at this. It's not really a formal approval, but it gives you the opportunity to see a transaction. The other one is the FYI review, which allows you to send something to someone and say, hey, just in case you want to know. Neither one of these create actual transactions in and of themselves. What does create another transaction is the disapproval. So, well, actually, the disapproval prevents the transaction from occurring. So you can disapprove an action, and if you do that, several things happen. One of the things is that it routes right back to the initiator, and the initiator has the ability to copy that transaction and redo it. They have the ability to do some other things, but it also gives you the ability to put a note. I don't know if you've ever had a situation where you receive something back and it didn't get approved and you think, well, I don't know whether it ever routed or whatever happened to it, so I'll send it back through and see maybe it just got misdirected back to me. Well, this gives you the ability, in fact it requires, that the disapprover say why they disapproved it, what was the cause of that not being valid. Another situation may be that you as the manager may decide that you're going to be gone and you need to delegate your workflow off to someone else. This system allows you to do that pretty easily. The delegate can approve an account level document as if they were the fiscal officer. So a fiscal officer can choose to establish either type of delegate, either a primary or a secondary. And this is yet another picture of one of the screens. In a primary delegate, say you leave for a conference and you're not going to be anywhere near a system to be able to look at your workflow, you can just do a primary delegate to someone else. They have first selection at it. You may say, well, I'm not sure that person's always going to be there, so I may need to leave a secondary delegate. This person may approve things, and once anything is approved, it will go forward, but they may be just secondary to that primary approver. Gives you quite a bit of flexibility to different roles that are different kinds of approvals and different kinds of documents. And different documents may require different situations. So I'm going to pass this off to Chuck, who's going to go over a little bit about roles.
Hello, everyone. Let me start by just telling you that roles, you're not going to hear any terms throughout this process that I don't think most of us have been familiar with within higher ed for years. It's just now it's electronic we're talking about. So the nice thing about it is that you're going to find it pretty easy to understand, I think. Roles collect permissions and are responsibilities to represent a set of functional duties. For example, a fiscal officer, a chart manager, a purchasing processor. These are roles that we've always had, now they're automated. The members of roles often have qualifiers that limit the permission or responsibilities in some way. So you're going to see that's same as it was before, but again, it's now automated. So those roles can have limits. Ad hoc routing. Ad hoc routing allows, basically you to have routing that is not normal, it's like ad hoc, that's what it is. So a good example of that is I was always in IT in higher ed, so one thing that happened often is I had to review documents or contracts or requests for purchases that were over a certain dollar amount or had a certain conflict possibly that was something else we were trying to do from the overall mission of the university. So this would be an example of an ad hoc route where you're getting something that people don't even need to necessarily know that you're involved in, but you're getting it routed to you because someone wants to verify before you go out and have a conflict of something else that's the mission of the university. Blanket approval, again, there's an ability to be able to have things blanket approved. It means that basically anybody who receives acknowledgement will request a document can automatically put it right through. You'll see that, Foley really, this whole workflow is really pretty well thought through of how we do business. We have a system supervisor. This is a special role that somebody can have where they really are a super user. They'll be able to go in there into a special search screen, pull up documents out of the queue, change the way they work, and this is more of a way to override or get things processed differently. And again, it's not everybody's a system user supervisor. In Kuali, out of the box, you get routing based on an eDoc. eDocs are pretty much what we always refer to in legacy systems as transactions. So you'll see on the next slide up or something, you'll see that I've defined all the different types of transactions, but each eDoc has its own route path. And it comes built out of the box for it. You can change that, but again, if you add another type of eDoc, it'll inherit the properties of the one that you chose to inherit it from. And they're all rule-based based upon the document type. Here's the transactions. I didn't put in the year-end transactions, but there are additional transactions for year-end processing. But you can see the normal type of transaction you'd have, and each one has workflow assigned and route nodes based on that type of eDoc. So you'll see budget adjustments, advance deposits, cash receipts, cash disbursements, journal entries, all those types of documents are already defined with a routing. And again, it can be modified. Let me try to get more into what the workflow and roles mean. There is a route. The route node is a step in the routing process of a document. So again, if you think about it, that's no different than what you do today, even if it's manual. You have a route the document has to go through for approvals before it gets processed. In that route, a lot of times it was a physical signature in it. You have a role ID. You'll see that there are certain role IDs already defined in Kuali. Those can be changed, but again, you'll see certain role IDs like a 54, which may mean route or initiate. You may see a 41, account review. 28 means org review. Again, these can change, but 48 means sub-fund review. 39 may be award review. So again, those may work very well for you just out of the box. You have a role name. You'll see that there's quite a few different role names. I mentioned one earlier, KFS system user. You may have account reviewer, and I'll go through a slide that shows you all the types of role names, but that gives you an idea. And then you have qualifiers. And this could be new elements that you define as qualifiers, but on the box it comes with stuff like chart code, org doc type, sub-fund group, doc type. And again, those are award. So again, any of those could be a qualifier of things that you want to have done differently based on those qualifiers. Here's my roles names. Again, pretty much roles that you probably have on every campus for many years already. Role restrictions. You can have some roles that can only do certain functions, and there's some examples of some roles. Treasury manager role, for example, can only change the bank codes in receipt documents. A cash manager can open a cash drawer and approve cash management, but cannot initiate a cash receipt. So you'll see within Kuali, there are roles and certain definitions of what those roles functions can perform. And again, those are changeable, but again, out of the box, you're going to get something probably very useful to your own environment. Let me review a little bit of what we're talking about with workflow, just so again, for you that know me, I don't want to bore you, but I have over 30 years in higher education. One of my last things I did was work with trying to define a workflow system utilizing some software we bought at one of the higher education campuses I worked at. And we spent over $2 million, and we still didn't touch upon what I see coming out of the box with Kuali. So again, Kuali Financials has a Q, which is Kuali Enterprise Workflow. But what we're talking about is right out of the box, when you implement Kuali, you're going to see workflow defined for you with things that you can change, but again, pretty much probably will fit your needs. And working with campuses like Colorado State and San Joaquin Delta, implementing the system, we found it worked right out of the box for them in a lot of areas.